Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pascack Clutch Podcast. I'm Matthew Merlino, along with my co-host Sean Barry, Michael McKay, Sam Koppelman, and Alex McKay. Today is a very important week. We had week 1 of NFL football plus week 2 of college football, and we want to get into that. But first, we'll talk about Pascack Hills sports. Girls soccer moved up to 1-0 with a win over Cliffside Park last week. Then they tied yesterday against Mawa in double overtime with a final score 1-1, so they are at 1-0-1, their record. The Pascack Hills Bronco football team went up to 2-0 with an incredible game on Friday night, 23-22, the final score over the Teaneck Highwaymen that absolutely nobody saw unless you watched it here on PH Athletics.
What a game.
That was
last Friday night, yes.
That was if you were there, that was an insane fourth quarter.
And for those of you who weren't there was about 7 kids in the stands.
One of them
because you're part of the band, so you were required to be there.
But we were screaming our butts off.
And the band, and Mr. Michael McKay can attest to this, pretty much became the entire student section after everybody left.
Yeah, let's just say at the end of that game, the heads on my quint tom drums were basically destroyed from how loud I was playing because of how good that game was.
Yeah, so a final score of 23-22 there, and the Broncos moved up to 2-0 overall. This Thursday, instead of Friday night, they are away at Fairlawn, and then next week they are also away. They'll be back home, though, the week after. We'll tell you that once we get closer. In other sports, boys soccer for Hills got off to a sad start with a 2-0 loss to Ramsey to put them at 0-2, as well as a 2-1 loss to Mawa, unfortunately, yesterday as well. And Pascack Hills Volleyball got off to a good start with a 1-0 record, a 2-0 win in straight sets over Ramsey on Monday night. They play after school 5:30 tonight as well here on PH Athletics. You'll have that one. And girls tennis with a strong start, but then fell to Ramapo with 5-0 the score. They are at 1-1. So, gentlemen, that gives you the report on Broncos sports. Now we'll get into the NFL, where we have, I'm sure, a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start on Thursday night with the start of the season, where the Detroit Lions were able to defeat a Travis Kelce-less Kansas City Chiefs 21-20. Because Kadarius Toney cannot catch a thing, which is why the New York Giants win the trade.
Yeah, I'm...
Over 4 with giving up a pick 6 along the way.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The Giants
pick 6 that should have been a 10-yard catch from Toney. Bounced off his stone hands.
Went up into the air, caught by a Lions defender, and brought back like 30 yards.
Yeah.
Absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
absolutely atrocious.
His only good career stats are his college stats in Florida.
Yeah, because he played in the SEC.
Now he's just that guy.
Fraud alert.
Mm-hmm. Now,
but yet that man still has a ring.
But the Chiefs are gonna go on like a 15-0 win streak. So
you just watch. So, the final score on Thursday night, 21-20, a Detroit upset over the Kansas City Chiefs. Then on Sunday, we had a lot of good games and a lot of games that were supposed to be good were not. San Francisco with a 30-7 crushing of the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday afternoon.
Great game.
Cincinnati and Cleveland very close, but Cleveland won 24-3. Even though that game was supposed to be a close one. Deshaun Watson outperforming Joe Burrow at pretty much every end after Burrow got paid the largest contract for a quarterback and for any player in National Football League history.
May I add, Joe Burrow had, I believe, like 81 passing yards.
It was 82.
And like 81 or 82 with like 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he only put up like 4 fantasy points.
Yeah, 4 fantasy points.
14 for 31, 82 passing yards for Burrow, and 0
Absolutely
touchdowns.
Terrible.
It's the same man that can still make the AFC Championship every year.
It was a very wet Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland. So the conditions did affect that game, but still, Evan McPherson with the only score of the day for the Bengals, 42-yard field goal to make it 24-3 the final there. And in the late games, we had Green Bay, Chicago. The Packers, even without Aaron Rodgers, still coming out with the win 38-20, even though they dominated that entire game. Jordan Love with 245 passing yards in his first game, in his first start as a new.
You know what?
Yeah,
Can't even complain about how Jordan Love played.
Yeah, but
No.
the thing is that
Can't
their
even
defense was really good. Yes, they let up 311 yards and 20 points, but they had a pick six, 4 sacks, a safety, and a fumble recovery. Really good defensive team.
Yes,
Good
but
game.
this is the Chicago Bears we were talking
That is
about,
true.
so
That's
we
The
won't be
Bears have
able
lost
to. We won't be able to get a sufficient gauge on Love after about 4 or 5 games here. with the
I think
Packers.
Jordan Love, he played good that game.
He did
He did,
play
yeah,
good,
he
but
played very good.
he was bolstered by playing, as always, a subpar Bears team, and with an incredible defensive performance from the Packers.
Well, who was that?
Yeah,
Was it
Jordan
Christian
Love
Watson?
went 15 for 27 with 245 passing yards and 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and he had 3 rushing attempts for 12 yards. I mean, he did really good, especially for his first start of the season and their first game of the season. You know, getting that win. But it was the Bears they were going against, and I believe there's a stat that the Packers have now beat the Bears, I believe now 12 times in a row.
12 other 13 meetings, I believe.
12 of their last 13 meetings they have won, and the one time they lost was like by one score.
And although the focus will be on Love's performance, we do want to talk about Aaron Jones, who in just 11 chances with the ball, 9 carries and 2 receptions, put up a combined 127 yards, 41 rushing yards, and 86 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns for him, 1 rushing, 1
Crazy.
receiving.
He gave
So
me
I-
24 fantasy points.
I guess you could
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that
He had
another...
he had 10 yards at least every time he got the ball.
I was not happy I traded Aaron Jones, but I mean I got Travis Etienne from Sam, so I wasn't too sad, especially being that Travis Etienne put up like 16 points for me. So
Also, I think some rookie quarterbacks played good on Sunday. Anthony Richardson played good for the Colts.
Mhm.
But
The
it is
Colts-
sad.
Even though they
The
did
Colts-
lose 10 point, that
They-
game
they
was going
did-
back and forth.
It was back and forth until the end. Jacksonville
Uh-huh.
did pull away to win by 10, 31-21
Yeah, he
over
put up like
Indianapolis.
20 some odd fantasy
But-
points.
He put up
23.
It was Calvin Ridley, the receiving leader, with
Yeah.
101 yards, and Richardson 24 for 37, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 223 total yards for Anthony Richardson, and he was also the rushing leader, 10 carries, 40 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So a good debut for the rookie Anthony
But there
Richardson.
is one thing with Anthony Richardson. He was taken out of the game towards the end. He had hurt his, I believe, he had hurt one of his legs. I believe his right
They
leg.
say he's fine though. He's
Yeah.
practicing. He's good.
Yeah, earlier in the game, he had been limping off the field, and then towards the end, he got hit again, and he went down hard.
Yeah, so we're going to move on, but it was a very good performance from some rookies this week in their debuts in the National Football League. But we do have some more late games to talk about. We'll go over to Denver, where the Sean Payton era began in Bronco country.
Broncos country did not ride.
No, they
No.
didn't.
We just checked to see
A
if Broncos
second-
country's still riding.
A second straight 17-16 opening loss for Denver, this time with a Super Bowl winning coach. And this time, instead of to the Seattle Seahawks, it was to the McKay favorite Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I'll let you take this one away.
It was,
It was an interesting game to see. I mean, when you start off your regular season with an onside kick,
yeah, that was so annoying.
you are really trying to make a move, but if you don't get that, which they did not, that really may affect your season.
And then on top of that, on the opening drive, like 4 plays in, Jimmy Garoppolo had gone someone had hit his head with their helmet on his way down from a rushing attempt. He was taken out of the game for only 2 plays for concussion protocol, but he was all good. That ended in a touchdown. But pretty much after the first drives from both teams, going to touchdowns, it was pretty even overall. I mean, there's a lot of punts. Like the Broncos went touchdown, punt, touchdown, missed field goal, punt. The Raiders didn't do too much better. They only scored one more point, but they still won. So.
Jimmy Garoppolo had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Someone who really made an impact on their debut was Jacoby Myers. I mean, we gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's just take a second to process this. 9 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, even though he got a late hit that put him in concussion protocol, he still had a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, for sure.
someone who did not touch the ball once that game, Hunter Renfrow, he had no touches.
He wasn't even targeted once, I think.
No.
And then we have Russell Wilson, who did not have the best game. 27 for 34 with 177 passing yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 rushing attempt for 1 yard.
Still a pretty good game, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
For Russ compared to last year. So I guess he's starting this year off on the right foot. But we'll see if that continues for the rest of the year.
All right.
Now we'll move on to another late game. This one over in Foxborough, Massachusetts at Gillette Stadium, where the now 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning defending NFC champions, defeated the New England Patriots 25-20 in Tom Brady's homecoming, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, he was there
Jalen
again.
Hurts, 22 for 33, 170 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown, the receiving leader for the Eagles, and in the game, 7 receptions, 79 yards. Mac Jones, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 316 yards on 35 completions, but 35 for 54, so not exactly the best completion percentage for Mac Jones, but still a good performance from him, outplaying Jalen Hurts by almost 100 yards, even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That game was very defensive for the Eagles at the beginning. They had put up 2 defensive touchdowns in the first quarter, I believe.
Yeah, we did.
Including one, I believe, being a fumble return and then a pick 6.
So
by Darius Slay. Yeah.
So the only thing I can think of that needs improving is the D-line, but as we know, it's basically just a bunch of rookies.
The Georgia Eagles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the depth is there. It's definitely there. It just needs a little bit of time. Because in the last half, half of it, and then when the oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. What I'm forgetting. Oh my god.
Well,
when the Patriots just kept scoring and scoring and scoring.
I mean, the Eagles
that's what I complain about.
The Eagles had a 16-0 lead after the first quarter. Then they gave up 14 points to go to the half, and then it was pretty much just field goals the entire way.
Yeah. The second half was not the best.
Yeah, the second half was not the best, but the Eagles
fell apart.
They fell apart in the second half, and the defensive line and the front seven, not exactly the best for a showing, considering they're all pretty much rookies or second-year guys.
Well, it was half decent.
It was decent against.
It was a decent
again. New England isn't one of the best offenses
I
in the
understand
league.
that,
but
as long as
it was a pretty good showing.
So long as they're winning conference games, I'm happy.
Exactly. It was a pretty good showing for the Eagles and their new front seven, but it's still week 1. We can't exactly gauge how all of these guys are doing, how all of these rookies are doing, how all of these teams with all of these new signings are doing until about 4 or 5 weeks into the year, because then we start getting into things and then we start being able to gauge how the season may turn out. One more game to cover in that 4:25 slot, then we'll get on to our local teams with a lot to talk about there. Dolphins-Chargers, perhaps the game of the week looking back at it.
That had
36-24 the final.
36-34.
36-34, excuse me. Thank you, everybody. Michael, you want to talk about this one?
So, I just want to say, Miami Dolphins is probably got to be my pick that is going to be the team to watch this season, because
until Tua gets out with a concussion.
This is Tua. this could be Tua's comeback player of the year award.
I mean,
if he stays healthy.
If he stays healthy,
Mhm.
we got to keep that in
If
mind.
He needs to stay healthy.
Tua
He
went
needs to stay.
28
If he stays healthy,
In-
they contend for the division.
But-
Because they contended for the division last
You know
year,
what?
and he,
Tua,
and
in
he
my
missed
opinion,
5 games.
if he keeps that up with what he did over Sunday, MVP easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If with
MVP.
Tua,
Well, yeah.
If I can just say his
He
stat
had
line
crazy
real quick.
stats.
28 for 45, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 466
Yeah.
yards.
Well, this is gonna
leading
be-
the NFL.
466
He's going to be
yards.
someone to keep an eye on
He's
this
leading
season.
the NFL right now in passing yards by over 100.
After 1 week.
with
I
Tua,
believe Jalen Hurts is second. He might not be. I don't have that pulled up right now, but the next has like 340.
Yeah,
It's
only
crazy.
only 55 passing yards away from the all-time Dolphins record, of course, set by Dan Marino, 521 back in the 1988 season.
And
but-
some of the. I mean, it really was a passing dominant game. I mean, rushing, you really only had Raheem Mostert rushing the ball. with
Well,
10
Austin
carries.
Eckler with 16 carries, 117
Well, yeah, but
yards.
I'm talking
But for the Dolphins, it was more
I mean,
of a throwing
10
game.
carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. It's okay stats, but
Yeah.
definitely
with,
passing
with
game.
Tua being healthy, I
Yeah.
think the Dolphins are the most explosive team in the NFL.
Well, Tyreek Hill keeps doing what he's
With
doing.
Jalen
He's
Waddle.
looking at the crazy season.
Well,
as
could
he
be-
said he wants 2,000 receiving yards. Now, of course,
That's never
it may
been done.
it may not be as crazy as it would have been in a 16 or 14 game season.
But for
Of course, that's why,
17,
in my opinion, all of these records have to kept track
Yeah.
based on the game amounts because, like,
Yeah.
if you remember back when it was 12 games, it was 1,000 rushing yards was like
Yeah.
the standard. Now with 17, that's pretty much reached by any guy on a fantasy team.
Yeah, but Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions for 215 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns on 15 targets.
He's going to be someone to really look out for with Tua coming back.
I mean, then you
Yeah.
had Jalen Waddle with 4 receptions for 78 yards, but I mean, hey, he still had a pretty good game.
Mhm.
And I guess Braxton Berrios just picked up from the Jets, so
So a good signing for the Dolphins. He
Oh, yeah.
had I think a touchdown.
he had
in that
42
one.
yards.
Yeah, so a pretty good signing from the Jets there, a divisional signing. So I think the Jets may regret that one.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
to Sunday Night Football, where we did not exactly have what was supposed to be the best game of the week.
I think I have to say it. Giants, what happened?
40-0, the final
Absolutely.
score.
Daniel
Oh,
Jones
And
sold on your
I'm
board.
I'm not exactly going to say anything because
26
I'm a
nothing
Jets
going
fan.
into half.
And I'll save my piece for the Monday night game. But
I'm pretty
Mr.
sure
Sean Barry, as our resident Giants fan here,
I'm pretty sure
40-0. What's the deal?
I don't know.
I just wanted to say Dallas's defense was the last pick I had on my fantasy team, and they were the ones who I needed to clutch up. 36 points
For defense.
for defense with
Yeah, they
number
had
1 ranking.
disgusting.
All I
Yeah,
can say
they
is
had 2 interceptions.
is that everyone was hyping this game, with the Giants getting Darren Waller.
And Saquon back.
I thought they were gonna have a chance to win, but they just
Everyone
got
thought wrong.
Well,
they just got
Waller-
absolutely
I
destroyed
mean,
by
this was
Dallas.
a defensive game the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, Dak Prescott really did not do good. 13 for 24 with 143 passing yards and 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Their
well,
defense had like two defensive touchdowns.
it was
And the blocked field goal.
7
and the
sacks.
blocked field goal.
Graham
yes.
Cano couldn't even make a field goal for his life either.
Yeah.
The
Well, yeah.
the Giants were just
Our
bad
kicker,
all over
we
the place.
forgot to mention this when we talked about Pascack Hills, but our kicker probably would have been better than the Giants. He scored the game winner, if you didn't see it, 43 yards in
Okay,
high
wow.
school. That
Points,
may as well be 60 in the NFL
Yeah.
to win the game.
That I don't even know if that's school record.
Including a
That's-
36
I wouldn't-
and 37-yard field goal
Yes.
earlier in the game.
Yes, it
And
was
on top of that, he also made
It was
all the
a-
extra points.
it was a great performance from the junior kicker Callan Ahern, and if Callan is
And I
watching,
believe
we
his-
want to say thank you for that win. Do that again, please.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, we'll take that any day of the
Yeah.
week.
Any day.
And and I'm pretty sure I think that was his like first career start
Yeah.
as the
Is second because
Second.
he
Yeah,
just
second.
joined football this year.
Yeah.
So a great
he was a
performance
soccer
in
player.
his second
Jake
ever.
Wolski played good too.
Exactly, in his
Yeah.
second
Not
ever.
Yep, not surprisingly,
performance.
he was a soccer player before,
Yeah.
so he did know what he was doing. He knew pretty much what he was doing.
So the Giants with a 40-0 loss. Now we'll get on to my turn to speak about the NFL. Monday Night Football with the Bills against the Jets. And if you gentlemen will let me speak for a few minutes, that would be greatly appreciated.
I actually have some news about the Jets.
Oh,
I actually don't care what you have to say. I'm going to start talking now. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays, 75 seconds, torn Achilles, out for the year. We still beat Josh Allen. 3 interceptions. Thank you, Josh. I guess that was paid off because it was September 11th. But final score 22-16 in overtime. Sam, what do you have to say here? Because
So there was
I
some
presume
reports last night that Colin Kaepernick's
we don't want him.
I know,
Yeah.
but agents had gotten in contact with the Jets, and about half an hour ago or an hour ago or something, the Jets had just released that they are not interested in Colin Kaepernick,
Yeah, we're
and
good.
they're going for more quarterback.
We're good.
As
We're good.
of last night, or it might have been this morning, I had seen that the Jets are almost indefinitely taking Zach Wilson as their starter. I mean,
Look, he had a
He had-
extremely high passer rating
Yes.
for him.
It was-
and out of the entire league this first week. He had an 81.6, I'm pretty sure. Joe Burrow had like in the 50s, 60s. So did Josh Allen. It was a terrible week for a quarterback.
Well,
Yeah.
Zach Wilson somehow playing up to the hype, I
Well,
guess.
he went 14 for 21 with
Finally.
141 yards and a touchdown compared to his one interception.
And Garrett Wilson, he made a clutch catch.
An incredible
in the end
catch.
zone.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
how he caught that.
I
But
that
don't
was
know
just
either.
the Bills defender pretty much did nothing. He just watched.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Brees Hall, on top of that, had an amazing rushing game, 0 touchdowns, but on 10 carries he had 127 yards.
Matt, I think you
Crazy.
may want to talk about this, but let's go to the end of that game.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to talk about Zach Wilson a bit more.
And may I add-
14 for 21, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception,
Yep.
compared to Josh Allen, 29 for 41, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, all to the same guy, by the way. So great job, Josh. Thank you
Yeah.
for that win.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Before you
Oh
say
my
anything,
God.
I just need to say, receiving, you had the star player Garrett Wilson go 5 for 5
but
with
he didn't even
34 yards and a touchdown. And Brees Hall even had a reception for 1 reception for 20 yards. Yeah.
So we do want to talk a little bit about that final play. Xavier Gipson, the undrafted rookie wide receiver, 65-yard punt return touchdown to beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime, 22-16. Because guess what? Josh Allen went 3 and out. So Bills, what happened?
He's
What
never
did
won.
happen?
You
He's
just
never won in overtime.
You just lost
He's-
to Zach Wilson, and you won the coin toss. So stop talking.
He's
Stop
0
whining
and
about
5
that
He's
crap.
0-5 in OT.
It's over. It's over for you. Now they're going to go 16-1 and win the division.
Honestly,
Anyways, we do want to talk about one thing because the NFL Players Association, after that Aaron Rodgers torn Achilles, which does put him out for the year and possibly may retire him. Hopefully not. But it's possible that it could happen.
it's been a long time coming for this.
The NFL Players Association is calling for natural grass in all stadiums, which will help players with
Finally.
injuries compared to turf. Most stadiums, including MetLife Stadium, had grass over the offseason for soccer matches, and they will have grass for the upcoming 2026 World Cup that is happening in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So I don't understand why they
not?
don't have it in just yet, because most, if not all, of these NFL stadiums that are in these major markets like New York or LA or Washington, well, I guess not Washington, FedEx Field is a dump, but why not have grass in these stadiums already? I understand why they went away from turf, but even with MetLife, where it is open air, you got the sun beaming down at least half out of the year in New York, New Jersey, why not have grass? It just seems
it's just
easier.
better.
Yeah. and it's better for injuries. You would think after signing a 39-year-old quarterback, you would want to have a field that wouldn't get him injured, even when you have a grass field there already.
Yeah,
even though
I think everyone's seen at this point the video of Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tearing. That thing, it's a weird video to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because his leg got caught in the turf. That's
That's
thing.
why.
Yeah, the cleat got
caught.
The cleat dug down into the turf, got caught, and then when the defender
started tackling him.
Yeah, tackled Rodgers. His foot didn't move. And
it was weird. He stood up after the play, but then 5 seconds later, then he sat down and was.
It was the most delayed injury ever.
And next week in the NFL, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, Minnesota versus Philadelphia, 8:15 on September 14th. That's coming up tomorrow. On Sunday, the game of the week on CBS, supposed to be the Jets versus Dallas. Now we know that's not happening. Giants play Arizona 4:05 on Fox. Sunday Night Football on NBC is Miami versus New England, a big test for the Dolphins, their first divisional game of the year. Same for the Patriots. And on Monday night, we got a doubleheader. The early one, 7:15 on ESPN between the Saints and the Panthers, and the late one, 8:15 on ABC between the Browns and the Steelers. Our game of the week is the Chiefs against the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence against Patrick Mahomes. The current money line is Kansas City favored by 3, but of course that can change.
Especially if Travis Kelce doesn't play. Now we'll go over to college football with just a little bit of time left, so we'll talk about that for a little bit. Our big game of the week was number 11 Texas against number 3 Alabama, and it's possible that the dynasty is over. 34-24, the final score as the Longhorns defeat the Tide. Big game there.
Texas, they balled out. They beat Bama, and I do think the dynasty is over for Bama. I think anyone can beat Bama right now, but they could go win SEC championship, still make the playoffs. But Texas, they proved that they're back, and they could definitely win the Big 12 and make the college football playoff.
Yeah, in the AP Top 25, I think Michael wants to talk about something real quick here, but I'll just go over the top 10 in the AP poll. Georgia and Michigan stay at 1. Florida State moves up to number 3. Texas moves up all the way to number 4. USC up to 5. Ohio State down to 6. Penn State, Washington 7 and 8. Notre Dame up to 9, and Alabama all the way down to 10. Michael, what do you got?
Colorado, I just don't know what to say. Coach primetime Deion Sanders has this team 2-0
at 18th.
At 18th.
Did you see that he slept in his office the night before the Nebraska game?
Yeah. 36-14.
Good for him.
Once it was 30-0 or 30-7, we knew it was over.
393 yards from.
That's where you just turn off that game and put on the Texas.
Excuse me if I'm saying this wrong. Is it Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, 393 yards, 2 touchdowns out of 31 completions from 42 attempts.
He's already at 900 passing yards.
Yeah, it's an incredible performance from Sanders. We'll see if he can keep it up all year. Next week, number 18 Colorado still at home in a big rivalry game against arch rivals Colorado State.
Easy win.
That's 10 p.m. on ESPN. College football, anything can happen.
That's true.
But it should be an easy win. Our game of the week in college football, which you will have a chance to pick down in the description on our Google form, is number 11 Tennessee at Florida, who is unranked. That's 7 p.m. ESPN Saturday night, September 16th. They say Tennessee has a slight chance of winning, and Tennessee is favored by 6.5 points. So that's your go over for our game of the week. I think that ends college football. We'll go over baseball very quickly. Not much to talk about there. Matt Olson hit his 51st home run. Michael wants to talk about Ohio State, but nobody cares because they beat Youngstown State. Yeah, go ahead.
On top of Matt Olson hitting his 51st, which is it actually ties the Atlanta Braves franchise record. But Pete Alonso also now ties Shohei Ohtani at 44, with Kyle Schwarber right behind at 43. But still, Matt Olson is 7 home runs ahead of second place. So he could be hitting 55
And, of course, baseball
Easy.
making their charge to the playoffs. The Orioles lead 3 games in the AL East. Twins lead 7.5 games in the AL Central. Astros and Rangers going at it in the AL West, just a 1-game difference there. Braves are already clinched with a 95-50 record in the NL East. Brewers lead the NL Central by 4 games, and the Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks in the NL West by 13 games. And I think that ends all that we want to talk about. We're running out of time here. I think we're all good.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, one last thing that I want to talk about very quickly. In the world of European soccer, Juventus player Paul Pogba failed a doping test due to a testosterone supplement, and that could lead to a provisional 4-year ban for the French striker.
Dang.
So, we thank you for joining us here on the
Yeah.
Pascack Clutch. Sorry it had to be rushed a little bit at the end. We spent a lot of time on the NFL, but we hope you enjoyed our second episode.
We never do our picks.
Oh, right. We got to do our picks. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
All over the place. So,
Chiefs, Jaguars.
yeah, Chiefs, Jags. We'll start off with that. What do you guys think?
I think if Travis Kelce plays, I think Chiefs
Which he
win.
will.
But if he doesn't, I think that Jags are gonna end up winning.
Yeah, the Jags have
Hey,
really
which
good
one?
offense.
Or just say a name,
Yeah.
man.
I understand your indecision, but you got to make a pick.
Let's go Jaguars.
Okay.
Jaguars.
Michael.
I'm gonna go Jaguars.
I'm going Jaguars.
All right.
You gotta
Alex?
do the same name.
Jaguars.
All right. I'll go Kansas City because I don't care what you guys think. College football. Tennessee, Florida. Tennessee's
The
ranked.
team with broken hands.
Oh my
Okay, I don't
gosh.
care.
Come on.
Colorado,
let's go.
Tennessee, Florida. What
I'm
do you
going.
guys
I'm
think?
going with the Gators.
Sean's going Gators. That's a big
Tennessee.
upset.
I'm going Tennessee.
Alex going Tennessee. They're ranked. That makes sense. Michael,
I'll go Tennessee.
understandable. Sam,
I know a couple guys who go to UF. Let's go UF.
all right. And I'll go with the upset Florida because why not? That's what I think. So, now with that done, we hope you give your opinion in the Google form down in the description. Pick those 2 games. We'll come back here next Wednesday and see if you guys were right. For Sean Barry, Michael McKay, Sam Koppelman, and Alex McKay, I'm Matthew Merlino. Thank you for joining us on the second episode of Season 2 of the Pascack Clutch. See you next Wednesday.